Good morning, students. Say your prayer. Thank you. நான் ஒரு நல்லாசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்லாசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்லாசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். Okay, students, take your social science book. Take page number 16. Today we will move to second lesson in history, ancient civilization. So in our previous lesson in history, unit 1, we have discussed about the prehistoric culture. So can you remember that? The Stone Age. So Mesolithic, Neolithic, Paleolithic. So these Stone Age cultures we have discussed. Okay. So here in this lesson we will discuss about civilization. So how humans begin to settle and led a organized way of life. So civilization means nothing but an organized way of life. So now we are civilized, no? So when the civilization process started? So what are the major civilizations? So what are its importance? So the importance of civilization. So there are 4 major civilizations. So we discuss each in detail in this lesson. So let us move into the lesson. So first, learning objectives. So what are you going to learn from this lesson? So what are the things we are going to learn in this lesson? So first, to learn about early societies and state formation. So society means nothing but people in any country or in an area so shares their customs and laws. So people in an area so thought as the area group and shares their customs, laws, etc. So it is called as a society. So school, it is a society. Your home, it is a society. So school, what you do? You learn the things, you share with your friends. Okay, in your family, you share your things with your family members, no? So like that. So it is a society. So nothing but a place or an area so where people thought they are as a group so shared their customs and laws. And state formation. So state means so the countries. So initially there is no country like now India, China, Bangladesh, America. There are a lot of countries now. So initially there is no such countries. But when human begin to settle in a particular place, so they begin to form the states. So they begin to form their own state. Okay, so you will learn about this. To learn about early societies and state formations. Then to understand the development of civilization. So how the civilizations developed. So you will understand the development of civilization. Then you will learn about the 4 major civilizations of the world. So what are the 4 major civilizations of the world? You have already learned in your lower classes. So you will learn about ancient Egyptian civilization. So you will learn about Egyptian civilization. So Egypt, it is in Africa. Then to study the main features of Mesopotamian civilization. So Mesopotamia, so it lies between Saudi Arabia, then Iran, Iraq. So it includes in Asia continent. Okay, so Mesopotamia, it is in Asia. Then to know the Chinese civilization. So China, so our nearest country. So it is the nearest and a very large country of nearby countries of India. So to learn, you will learn about the Chinese civilization. Then finally about to gain knowledge about the Indus civilization. So Indus Valley civilization. So that is our civilization. So Indus Valley, so which is located in the northwest part of India. So it covers Pakistan and northwest part of India. So you will learn about the Indus Valley civilization. So in this lesson, first you will learn about early societies and the state formation. Then second one, so the development of civilization. Then third one, you will learn about the 4 civilizations so that were developed during that period. Okay, so after the Neolithic period, so civilization developed. So among the various civilizations, so the 4 are major one. So what are they? Egyptian civilization, Mesopotamian civilization, then Chinese civilization, then Indus Valley civilization. So we will discuss each civilization in detail. Okay, Introduction. So urban societies that adopted complex way of life were more organized than the early hunter-gatherer and Neolithic farming societies. So early the human beings so practiced a culture, so that is Neolithic culture, that is they used stones, so that's why it was called as a stone age. So the final age in stone age was Neolithic culture. So in the final stage of Neolithic culture, so human beings were hunter gatherer. Okay va? So now in the civilization period, so they formed an urban society. So urban society means, so what is the difference between rural and urban? Yeah, rural means so people involved in primary activities, or they involved in the activities directly linked with nature. So urban means so they involved in non-agriculture activities. Okay, so they involved in non-agriculture activities. Okay, so the urban societies so that adapted complex way of life. So if you take a rural life, they adapted a simple way of life. So that is mostly they depend on agriculture. Okay, but if you take urban society, so there are a lot of complex ways. So there are a lot of lifestyles. There are a lot of activities followed by the people. So this urban society was different from the early hunter-gatherer and Neolithic farming societies. That is, the urban society is different from the hunter-gatherer and agriculture society. Okay, then urban society had social stratification and well-planned cities. So social stratification. So what do you mean by stratification? Yeah, division of something into different layers or groups. So urban society have different groups and they have well-planned cities. If you take rural society, they have only two groups, either hunter-gatherer or agriculturer. Okay, but if you take urban society, there are a lot of social divisions. So they have well-planned cities. So they practiced craft. So craft means a job or activity for which you need skill with your hands. So craft means a job or activity for which you need skill with your hands. So that is the objects made by hand which need some special skills. So they engaged in trade and exchange. So they involved in trade activities. So they adopted science and technology. So they accepted, they followed science and technology. So and they formed political organization. So they grouped into a political organization. So that is the early form of state. Okay. So if you take urban society, they adopted a complex way of life, so which is different from early hunter-gatherer and Neolithic farming society. So how it happened? When human beings began to settle in a place, so urban society developed. So if you take the civilization, ancient civilization, so mostly they are belong to urban culture only. So mostly they belong to urban culture. So these people practice craft, that is, they made things made of hand. They engaged in trade and exchange. So they involved in trade. So initially human beings won't involve in trade. So he just hunt the animal or gather the food, and so he was a nomadic, that is he moves from place to place, but now he settled in a place and practice a different lifestyle. And he formed political organization, so that is early form of state, so early form of a country. So early form of political organization, so he began to formed. So the term civilization is used to distinguish them from the early form of societies. So the term civilization used to differentiate so the man, so differentiate the human beings from early lifestyle. So that is early lifestyle means, so early lithic technology lifestyle. So early he used lithic technology, and he was a hunter gatherer. So but now human beings began to settle in a particular place. So in order to differentiate these things, so the term civilization was used. So however, they should not be considered superior to other forms of societies, since each culture or civilization had its own unique features. So there is no civilization more better than other. So all are better in their area. So all are special, all are better in their lifestyle. So each culture or civilization had its own unique features. So there are several civilizations developed in the ancient period. So that is at the end of Neolithic culture. So civilizations developed. So there are several civilizations developed. So already we are going to discuss 4 civilizations. So each civilization was better in its area. So each civilization. So if you take Egyptian civilization, Mesopotamian civilization, then Indus Valley civilization, then Chinese civilizations, each were special. So each were unique. So they have special features in their locality. Okay, wow. So, what is civilization? Yeah, civilization is in as an advanced organized way of life. Yeah, so civilization means an advanced organized way of life. So initially human beings have no an organized way of life. Yeah, so he just hunt the animals or he gather the fruits or foods and he move from place to place. So he have no organized or a planned way of life. But now he had an advanced organized way of life. It instilled a way. So instilled means to gradually make somebody feel, think or behave in a particular way over a period of time. To gradually make somebody feel, to think or behave in a particular way over a period of time. So initially human beings are like animals only. Yeah. So but now so he began to organize a way of life. So it instilled a way of life that could be considered as an adaptation to the particular environmental and cultural context. So now he began to adapt to a particular environment. Yeah, so now in ancient civilization, in the period of civilization, the beginning of civilization, so human beings began to adapt to a particular environment and cultural context. Yeah, so he follows some cultural context. Okay, so civilization is an advanced organized way of life. So it instilled, so it make him to feel, to behave in a particular way. So to make him to feel, to make somebody to feel, to behave in a particular way of life. Yeah. So that could be considered as an adaptation to particular environmental and cultural context. So he adapted himself to a particular environment. Yeah. So when it became necessary for a large number of people to live in close proximity, so proximity means so the state of being near. So they brought in planning, organization and specialization. So when human beings became close, so when began to live in a large area, so when they began to live nearby, so they brought some planning, some organization and some specialization. So when human beings began to settle in a particular place in large area, so they began to exchange the things. So they began to organize themselves. So they began to plan themselves. So they began to create some things. So they began to specialization. So they began to made some things. Okay, va? So this is civilization. So civilization means nothing but advanced organized way of life. It instilled a way of life that could be considered as an adaptation to a particular environment and cultural context. So when a large number of people began to live closely, so began to live nearby, they brought planning, organization and specialization. So since human beings began to live closely, so settlements were planned. So settlements means person, the place where we lived. So that is called as settlement. So and settlements were planned and laid out. A polity emerged. Now a polity, so in order to rule them, so in order to govern them, polity emerged. Society became organized and fruit production and craft production were regulated. So now the society became well organized. So it was in a proper way. And food production, so human beings began to practice agriculture. So at the end of Neolithic period, human beings began to practice agriculture. Then craft production. So what do you mean by craft? The things made of hand, so which require some skill. So now human beings practice agriculture and some human beings practice craft production. So they were regulated. So they were properly organized. So civilizations began to take shape. So huge buildings are built. So because human beings began to settle in a particular place. So in order to live, so they began to construct huge buildings. So initially he lived in caves. So now he began to construct buildings. So the art of writing developed. So initially he just exchanged his thoughts only through science. So later language developed. In the ancient civilization period, the art of writing was developed. So and science and technology so contributed to the betterment of society. So science and technology have developed well and they contribute a lot to the betterment of the society. Okay, so in ancient civilization, so human beings began to settle in a particular place, so which brought planning, organization and specialization. So the settlements were planned and laid out. A polity emerged. So society became organized and food production production and craft production were regulated. So settlements were planned, so society became organized. Okay, so food production and craft production were regulated, so were properly organized. So human beings began to construct huge buildings. So the writing, so the art of writing developed. So science and technology contributed to the betterment of society. So human beings knowledge was slowly developing. So when compared to the nomadic men, so when compared to the Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic culture, so now the human beings began to develop. So their knowledge, so their skill was developing. So among the various civilizations, the Egyptian, the Mesopotamian, the Chinese and the Indus were the important civilizations. Okay, so among the various civilizations, the Egyptian, so from left to right, so Egyptian, it is in Nile Valley civilization. So then Mesopotamia, so Tigris Euphrates Valley. Then Harappa or Indus Valley civilization. Then China civilization. So these are the four major civilizations which we are going to discuss. So while this civilization flourished in a particular region, in certain region, so flourished means so developed quickly and be successful or common. So when these civilizations developed quickly in particular region, in certain regions, people in other parts of the world lived as hunter-gatherers or pastoralists. So if you see in this previous slide map, you can see civilization areas. So but what happened in other areas? So the other area people so lived as hunter-gatherers or pastoralists. So hunter-gatherer means, what do you mean by hunter-gatherer? So a member of or a group of people who do not live in one place but moved around and live by hunting and fishing. So a group of people who do not live in a place but move around and live by hunting and fishing. So pastoralist means a person who rear sheep or cattle. So if you take other parts of the people, other parts of the world, so the people lived in other parts of the world still lived as hunter-gatherers and pastoralists. Okay, so hunter-gatherers and pastoralists maintained their relationship with these civilizations through interactions. So these hunter-gatherers and pastoralists, so they have contact with civilized people. So they have contact with these civilized people. So their history is also equally important. So the history of hunter-gatherer and pastoralist. So this is also very important to us. So when civilization developed in certain regions, that is civilization like Egyptian, Mesopotamian, Chinese and Indus developed in certain regions, so people in other parts of the world lived as hunter-gatherers and pastoralists. So they maintained their relationship with these civilizations through interactions. Okay, so through interactions. So their history is also equally important. So what happened in South India when the civilizations began to take shape? So when the civilization begins, the South India witnessed the emergence of Neolithic agro-pastoral communities. Okay, so now in South India, so during the development of civilization, so there is an emergence of Neolithic to agro-pastoral community. So Neolithic people, so the end of Neolithic culture developing in South India. So the end of Neolithic culture. So the people began to practice agriculture and they began to rear cattle. So and also the hunter-gatherers so began to use some microlithic stones. So the microlithic form of life by hunter-gatherers. So the hunter-gatherers used the microlithic culture. So microlithic technology. So some people practice agriculture and some people rear animals. So that is they practice pastoralism, and some people, that is the hunter-gatherers, so used so microlithic technology. So these were the development. So these were seen in the South India. So these were found in South India. Okay, okay students, so we have just seen the introduction and the four different ancient civilizations. So the four important early civilizations. So we just saw the introduction. Okay, so in tomorrow's class we will discuss about the Egyptian civilization. Okay, so if you have any doubt, just contact me. Okay, so for textbook reading, just read the ancient civilizations. Okay, so page number 16, ancient civilization. So second paragraph, read well. Okay, then for homework, so page number 16, so the ancient civilization, so second paragraph, so first point. So the Egyptian, the Mesopotamian, the Chinese and the Indus were the important early civilizations. So there is no book back question related to the topic which I have taught you. Okay, so there is no book back question which I have teach you in this slide, but just write this point as your homework. So the Egyptian, the Mesopotamian, the Chinese and the Indus were the important early civilizations. Okay, so do your homework. So read the textbook loudly. Okay, so tomorrow's class we will discuss about the Egyptian civilization. So tomorrow we will move to Egypt. Okay, so from Tamil Nadu, so from your native place, tomorrow we will move to Egypt and we will see the pyramid, mummy and the various god of Egypt. Okay, so thank you. Have a nice day.